Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I'm here at scaletrains.com with ScaleTrains brand marketer Drayton Blackgrove, and he's here with some exciting news that ScaleTrains is looking to share with us. So Drayton, what do you have for us?
Well, James, thanks for coming here today. I'm really excited to share our first steam locomotive announcement with you. And if you can't hear it, it's hanging out behind us under the bridge here on Pele Soborg's beautiful layout. This is our test layout here at ScaleTrains. We just received our first factory sample, and we're really excited to share it with you. This is like, we literally got it out of the box yesterday. You're the first person to see it outside of the ScaleTrains staff. There's some amazing features of this model. We're going to do a run by for you guys. So James, what do you say? Why don't we give it a spin?
Let's take a look. I'm excited.
All right, here we go.
So what we're going to do now is bring in Drayton Blackgrove again, and he's going to talk about the locomotive. Then I'm going to give you some of my thoughts independently, but I want to get it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. So Drayton, can you tell us more about the 611? One of my first questions would be, what sets it apart from other steam locomotives in the HO scale industry?
Sure, so the main thing that really sets it apart is we've included a speaker in the locomotive itself and another one in the tender. So you're going to get some really loud, high quality sound coming from this locomotive. And of course, with it being a die-cast locomotive, you're not going to have any vibrations, any kind of tinny sound whatsoever. As you can hear, James, it is extremely loud. We have not done any modifications whatsoever from the factory. This is the factory settings, and of course, with this being a pre-production sample, there might be some tweaks when it comes to the sound. I know one of the things that they're working on right now is the smoke unit. It does have a working smoke unit. It doesn't smoke great because, like I said, we're working on the settings. There you go, there's the safety valve. I'm gonna wait for that to cut out here. And one of the cool things about this locomotive is that the sound was recorded by ESU. They actually recorded it twice. They went the first time and they got a lot of great recordings, but then they decided to go back a second time. So all of the sound that you're getting was recorded directly from the 611. So not only are you going to have two speakers, but you're going to have authentic sound from the prototype. These locomotives have LED lighting features. You're going to have lit number boards, lit headlight. One of the cool road number specific details is that the Excursion version of 611 has a twin beam headlight. You're also going to be able to cycle through the class lights. There's a cab light, which we can show later. There's a tender backup light. And then also, just with all of our other locomotives in the ScaleTrains line, you're going to have ESU LoCSound 5 with the power pack. So if you lift the locomotive up off the track, which I can do really quick and show you guys, your locomotive will run for several seconds. So that means you're going to be able to operate it over dirty sections of track or switches that don't want to cooperate with you, which is pretty darn cool for a steam locomotive. So you've got your electrical pickup coming from the locomotive itself, and as I said, you've got your speaker. The connection is actually pretty cool if you want to check that out. There's the interior of the cab, but the connection is just like this. You just plug it in just like that between the locomotive and tender. Boom, you're ready to go. No annoying wires, which is really important. That's one of my big frustrations as a modeler. You've got to deal with those annoying wires often between the locomotive and the tender, and with this model you don't have to deal with that at all. So that's one of the things that we really wanted to improve was the connection between the locomotive and the tender. And as you can see, I am struggling to get it on the track because I only have one hand. It's kind of a tight space here on the layout. But that's your preliminary view of the locomotive. And James, if you want, we'll let you give it a spin. Another thing I wanted to mention really quickly, in addition to the actual locomotive, we've also announced the N&W Powhatan Aero passenger cars. And these cars will be able to be purchased individually. You can build your train. There's 5 cars that we have here on the track. There's some extra coaches that you can pre-order. One of the cool things about the coaches, here you can't really see it, but they are lit. These cars have not been available for years, and we've gotten so many requests to do them. So in this run, we're going to offer several different road numbers for the J class. We've got the Excursion version of 611. We've got the late as-built version of 611 as it appeared after being rebuilt from the Tug River derailment, and we've got several other 50s versions of the J that go with the passenger car. So it's amazing. The lettering is razor sharp. Of course, on the Excursion version of the J, you've got the Spirit of Roanoke right under the cab. So it's as authentic as it gets as far as the J class goes, and we're really excited about it.
All right, so I'll take a look at this locomotive and give you guys kind of my thoughts. Of course, in the review is where we will be completely objective and get the final product, because pre-production samples usually are a work in progress. We're at the controls now. One thing I am seeing is Spirit of Roanoke is under the window here on the cab, so that's cool. It's hard to see, very small. And I've got a little bit of a camera set up, so I can't get in too close, but it is there. Obviously, different variations are going to have different print, but I like the finish as well. It's like a semi-gloss is what I would call it. So you have that nice shiny appearance that the 611 really has without having either it too flat or too shiny to where it doesn't look realistic. Because honestly, on the real 611, some cinders and ash pile up around the locomotive, and it takes away that shine, and this locomotive really captures that well. It's a perfect finish for this type of excursion locomotive. On the front, you've got the headlight. We'll go ahead and fire it up with F8. We're at the controls here, and the headlight is a dual beam headlight, so Scale Trains is taking the time to do that. I see that right off the bat. F8 firing it up means it's an ESU Loc Sound decoder like we talked about, so that's something that's going to be a great capture of steam locomotive sounds. The 2 different speakers is a nice feature as well. We'll go ahead and hit the bell so you can hear that real quick. Yeah, it's beautiful sound, real rich, deep, but doesn't have resonance that rattles the speaker enclosure. And then the whistle. It sounds really good too. So really nice sounds are going to be in this. There's going to be several more we'll cover during the review when we order and get one of these in. So you've got the deck plating in between. That doesn't look like it's going to be a problem as far as too far up. You've got the cab curtains, little details like that on this locomotive. Back to the front, we do have several different lighting functions. The class lights are separate. I believe the number boards are separate. Perhaps, I'm not sure on that one. And then your dual beam headlight. I don't know if there's going to be a cab light or not. Actually, there will be. So cab light is probably not visible, but there will be a cab light. Alright, so we'll move this at just like a couple speed steps so you can see the slow speed control, kind of like we're doing a little review, but we'll stop at that. You can probably get a glance of the puffing smoke. I like the diffusion of the smoke. Some models just blast a stream and it doesn't look realistic. This is a nice diffused smoke. It is using oil, so there's, JT's Mega Steam and different oils you can use for this. locomotive that are steam fluids. As you can see, it's operating pretty smoothly, so I'm sure the production sample will even be more refined. On the back of the tender, you got a pretty realistic looking coal load and water hatches, ladders, and really nice print. There's a boiler backhead. Looks like with some lighting in there is reflecting off of the lighting. My camera doesn't want to cooperate, but there is a boiler backhead detail in there as well with the butterfly doors. So I'll wrap up my thoughts, the portion of the video with my thoughts, talking about the cars. You can also see the lights on the back of the tender of the 611. Realistic color and LEDs. They have a nice lensed effect. But speaking of lighting on these cars, nice LED lighting with a nice warm white appearance. It'll be nice to see these cars produced again. Overall, I'm seeing the same level of detail. I'm not sure if there are any tweaks made in the passenger cars. I think Scaletrain's couplers will be added, obviously. But overall, you're probably going to get about the same quality of passenger car with those upgraded features like the lighting and the couplers. So really nice cars, and again a nice finish to those cars. You've got the antennas up top, diaphragms that are probably sprung, and all those separately applied grab irons and details. People make fun of me saying truck detail, but hey, there's some detail on those trucks too. All right, we will wrap up this review slash sneak peek, I should say, with some final thoughts. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up our look at the Scaletrain 611. Drayton, you want to talk about pricing and stuff?
Yeah, so pricing for the J with DCC and sound is $524.99. That's our everyday selling price, and it's $100 less for the DCC ready version. The passenger cars are going to be $89.99. The estimated arrival time right now is mid-December of this year. So demand for these things are going to be high. This is our first steam locomotive. People are really excited about these. Also, the J and passenger cars haven't been available for almost 5 years now. I think it is about 5 years.
Yep.
So if you want one, make sure you pre-order one. You can get one from scaletrains.com or find a select retailer.
All right, well, thanks, Drayton. Thanks for inviting me here to take a look. And you guys will have the first dibs on a close-up look other than the actual announcement. So we'll see you next time right here on the channel. Take care.